Palworld, the biggest scam and Pokemon ripoff in history. Or at least that's what a couple of unhinged people are constantly screeching on Twitter. The rest of us somehow magically literally do not care. It's good, we play it. It is what it is. Get a life, loser.
I took 1 week off from gaming and I came back to the largest game in the world being a complete and total scam. Or at least that's what I've heard. What's the actual truth? Let's find out. I'm, of course, talking about Palworld, a game that's taken the world by storm. Everybody's playing it, and everybody's giving it great reviews. But don't just take my word for it. Let's listen to Charlie talk about it.
Yeah, I've actually heard good things about this.
Reviews are in, baby. That's Moist Critical himself. He's played the shit out of this game. He has a lot more to say about it. But there's also, like, every other streamer on the planet who's playing it, and then everyone who's not a streamer also playing it. In fact, Palworld has the highest concurrent player count of any paid game in the history of Steam. Sort of. Technically, it's number 2. PUBG actually has that record with like 3-point-something million, but then they went free to play. But it's up there, man. It is up there, along with like Cyberpunk and Elden Ring. I think it's even beaten that record. It's like at 1.5 million concurrent players. They've sold over 5 million copies.
True. I mean, it's Pokemon and Digimon with guns and slavery. What's there not to love? Guns are cool. Slavery is literally free labor. It's a perfect system melded into one.
For a paid game, it is huge. But what is the game? At its core, it's a game where you capture pals. And you use these pals to like maybe gain experience by destroying other pals, or maybe weakening those pals to capture them and add.
Or you can get sheep, and you can tame them, and then you can kill half of the sheep, and feed it to the other sheep. That's how big things start.
Adding them to your team. And if that sounds anything like Pokemon, it's because it has some similarities. It has some similarities. I'd be stupid to admit that it had no similarities. It has some similarities. But it's not a one-to-one.
You misspoke there. You should have said, I would be stupid not to admit, not I'm stupid to admit.
One clone, right? The game's not like a turn-based RPG.
But that's fine. He's German. Literally incompetency in the blood right there.
Kind of flow through and you do back.
Tried to destroy Europe 4 times, succeeded none, and cried a lot after every time they failed. Man, it's really ingrained there hard, isn't it?
Battles more freely, and you can also like kill Pokemon outright and butcher them. You can capture trainers. You can also butcher the trainers, which I think is just slavery and murder. It's kind of like in a...
Hey, I love those things in my games. I don't know about you, but you probably also love them, you little cheeky little creature, you. Yeah, that's the good stuff. That's the good sauce.
Adult version with some Pokemon themes in it, some elements of Pokemon, but in a, I guess, more fresh way to play it. And people are upset because they're claiming that this game has totally ripped off Pokemon. And
no, they're not upset. It's just a bunch of losers on Twitter. Yo, I saw a tweet yesterday, okay? And it was the most hilariously low testosterone thing I have seen in my life. Oh, Palworld is not that great. Oh, it's a stupid game. Look at it. It doesn't even have a bunch of fan art of it. When a Pokemon comes out, there's fan art instantaneously of it. Wow, yeah. I mean, that's really the standard by which I judge a game, if it's good or not. Well, admittedly, I do actually judge a game if it's going to pop off or it's going to be forgotten by the amount of Rule 34 that's pumped in. Because, hey, say what you will, it is a rule of nature. If something is good, it's going to have a lot of Rule 34 of it. It is what it is, boys.
I get why the concerns are coming out. Pokemon is a very impactful game. It's a lot of people's personalities, if I can just be blunt about it.
Sad.
So for a game to come up and rip it off, pisses some people off. And they've drawn some comparisons to the Palworld pals versus the Pokemon themselves. And here's one of the more blatant examples I've seen 100 times. The Galarian Meowth being stolen by the Palworld designers. And you can judge for yourself whether it's actually stolen or maybe...
Okay, I don't think it's stolen. Sharp teeth on things is not really unique. Again, there are good examples of things that are way too close for comfort. And I talked about this. Yeah, they definitely take a lot of inspiration from Pokemon. They definitely have, tried to remake Pokemon, but it's like, okay, you have them out and that's it. That's not unique in its own right, okay? If you want to give an example of Palworld's actually, taking from Pokemon, you can do that, and it's pretty easy, Every game that's going to have animals that are fantasy is probably going to have like a couple of maybe a handful of animals that are close to Pokemon. They kind of resemble them, right? That's natural. That's to be expected. But when you have Palworld and every second thing that looks like a Pokemon, that's a little bit different.
Be just slightly inspired, but people are going in. I saw this thread of 100 like different pals and then Pokemon that it draws inspiration from. I will say a lot of them are a stretch, right? Like a lot of them is just like, hey, it is a furret-like creature. And
also, I literally do not care. If someone steals all the Pokemon and makes a good Pokemon game, you know what? I'm fine with that. I am completely okay with that.
It's like Pokemon didn't invent a goddamn furret. That's just we got like those creatures in our world, and they're called animals, and so I think they're basing the designs off animals. But some are like, okay, yeah, that color scheme is kind of similar. That one maybe perhaps is a little more similar. And so it's basically a game of like, people trying to draw connection.
What is this? Since I've been bored as hell, yeah, this is something you definitely make if you're either an unhinged lunatic or if you're bored. Well, he has a... I don't think that's a Pokemon avatar. That's just a disgusting-looking avatar. I'm going to be making a thread of this thing's Palworld design analyst trying to spot every Pokemon they've jumbled together. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I definitely think they Googled Pokemon mixer and then just, added a bunch of mixed things up. I'm not gonna lie. I think they definitely did that. But it's hard not to at this point.
And seeing what is valid, what is not valid. Some, I would say, a little more wishy-washy, like this one. You can't really just take over all feathers or the color green. And some are a little more concerning, like the models of a PAL and a Pokemon lined up next to each other, specifically Luxray and one of the PALs called Boltmane, look pretty similar with the models and the sizes and the shapes of it.
I mean, this was to be expected. If you checked out what the developers said about this, they literally said, well, we haven't actually used Unreal Engine 5 ever. We don't even know what's left and what's right here. So, yeah, it is what it is.
And so I get why people are bringing up the concern. But let's not pretend that Pokemon themselves haven't drawn inspiration from other games.
True.
In fact, this is one of Pirate Software's arguments, is that a lot of the Pokemon we know are just creatures or inspired by creatures from Dragon Quests. Like Zubats, inspired from this Dragon Quest monster, and there's some other...
Okay, bro, I'm not gonna lie. You have a bat Pokemon, you have another... Dude, if you're gonna base things off a bat, it's probably gonna look similar-ish at the bare minimum to the other thing that's based off a bat. You have a rodent, there you go, another rodent. You have a clam, yeah, it's gonna be looking like another clam. You have something that resembles a Triceratops, congratulations. The other thing that's based off a Triceratops is, guess what? Oh, you guessed it, because you have a brain. Yeah, it looks like a Triceratops and they look similar. It is what it is.
Other ones that maybe don't make as much sense, like this one for Dragonite.
I mean, look at this. This is literally Pidgeotto, right? Bruh, it's a bird. Yeah, something based off a bird is gonna look like something based off a bird. Wow, we're breaking new grounds here, boys.
And so this is like the counter argument that I'm seeing a lot.
I love the modern age where applying common sense to simplistic subjects is becoming like actual marketable skill. I absolutely love that. It's great. The world is so over, boys. Pack your bags, we're starting over. Bruh, I hope we get nuked faster. This is just getting outrageously stupid.
But the fact is that the Palworld devs have not, at this point, received any legal issues from Nintendo.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, Nintendo will give it out if they want to give it out. They've given it to me good. Nintendo left me...
Well, first of all, there's actually also the slight little bit of a problem that Nintendo actually has, considering Palworld is officially on Xbox Game Pass. And, well, threatening to sue Palworlds or sending them a cease and desist letter is one thing. But doing that when Xbox has money riding on that bad boy is slightly different because, well, it's a stretch to say this through, but there's a chance that Xbox maybe gets involved in Microsoft, and Nintendo probably doesn't want that, considering, well, let me tell you a thing about Microsoft if you did not know. They're actually a competent company. The first thing when they looked at Palworlds was someone already in legal screaming, "Hey, this is a blatant Pokemon ripoff. Do we want to get in there?" And someone said, "Yeah, sure, let's do it in case anything happens." Blah blah blah. Bruh, they knew the risks and they took it, so they want it. So maybe that's something also Nintendo is thinking about.
No holes refused here. Okay, I got a cease and desist myself. So a game that has 1.5 million sales, that is literally being marketed by everyone as Pokemon with guns, if they had any legal grounds to take them down, I think they would take that action. But because of this campaign of hey, Palworld is a ripoff, it has led to some unfortunate consequences for some of the artists on the Palworld team. And this is from the lead developer and the CEO of the company, Takuro Mizobe, who said, "Currently, we are receiving slanderous comments against our artists, and we're seeing tweets that appear to be death threats." And he just said, "Hey, I'm the guy in charge here, so if you want to slander someone, slander me, not the artist." Which, you know, that's a noble thing to say. But is there any validity in it? And I would say,
we actually saw this tweet. The interesting part about this tweet is he's not exactly saying we didn't steal Pokemon. We didn't rip them off. He actually doesn't say that in the tweet. The language he uses is like, stop doing bad things to us, but he doesn't deny the idea that, you know, they ripped off Pokemon. He actually, you kind of do that if that's something that you're, that people are levying against you. You probably do deny that, but they chose not to.
We can let Nintendo make that call, right? I don't think we need to defend Nintendo or white knight for Nintendo. Nintendo, a very litigious company, will do it for themselves if they truly think that somebody is stealing their models. And that would be the thing that's a crime, if they were stealing or copying models. And the models are available, I'm pretty sure. They've, like, every single fan at some point has ripped models from every single Pokemon game. So it would be feasible to do. And if it's found out that that has happened, that would be fucked up. That'd be fucked up, and then they should receive some repercussions, whether it's giving Nintendo a big bag of money or taking their game down. But if all that's happening is that...
Well, the stupidity is showing here, okay? Let me explain this in a proper language, okay? This is how it works. If some rando dude rips off Pokemon and uses their model, and then you, person X, well, person Y in this case, find person X's ripped off Pokemon model and you use it, but you don't know it's still ripped from Pokemon, that doesn't exclude you from the idea that you stole from Pokemon. Yeah, you still stole from Pokemon even though you had no idea that this model is actually from Pokemon. This is how the real world functions.
That artists are inspired by some Pokemon from Nintendo. Nintendo, who's made like over 1,000 Pokemon that are oftentimes based off very real animals in our real world, then I don't think that should be such a big deal, and we should be flaming them. But unfortunately, that's not the only complaint that people are levying against Palworld. Because the other big one is that Palworld is using AI to make their game. And it is sad that people are falling for this AI product because it's fun and doesn't feel like AI. And now AI is going to take over everything. Books, music, art. Sad day for America, sad day for the world. But there's no real evidence that the...
I don't care if Palworld is using AI. I don't care. I don't care if Palworld literally ripped off every single piece of asset that they have made. I don't care if Palworld put people in slavery to make this game. I do not care if the whole game is made by AI that was put into slavery and it's actually comparable to a human and undistinguishable from it. I literally could not care less. And guess what? So does anyone else. No one else also cares. It's good, it's good. I don't care what it is. Hey, if 100 people got fired because this was good, what do I care? How long have I been spouting that developers are useless losers? Most of them are. It is what it is.
The game uses AI. The evidence is that the lead developer has been very positive about AI in the past and made an AI game called AI Art Imposter that lets an AI artist draw a picture. And so that was like one of the games. And yes, just generally has been much more positive about some of the benefits of AI rather than what is the normal sentiment amongst artists and you know, I guess general Twitter population, which is that
literally could not care less about an artist's opinion. That on the scale of people I respect, artists are one of the least respectful people groups in the whole world. I absolutely could not respect artists less, okay? Especially modern artists. Jesus Christ, everything you make is shit. So, hey, if Palworld is, you know, making artists hurt and feel bad about their lives, I mean, that's just a bonus on top. You don't have to sell Palworld to me any more harder. I'm already in. You hurting artists? Bro, that's just the cherry on top.
You know, AI is bad and it takes jobs from people, and we should not support AI across the board. It's kind of become a taboo word like crypto or NFTs. We don't really care about looking into the details of the project. If it has the word AI, we're pretty much out. All right. And because this person used to be very positive about AI, it's likely perhaps that Palworld has used AI to make this game come to life. There's more arguments that are following that sort of thought. They're basically kind of just trying to frame the team in a certain way to make the argument rather than using evidence directly from the game to make the argument, which I don't really fuck with. I don't really like just, hey, this person is bad based off their history, and that is why we should not support it, versus we have clear proof of AI being used, so we should not support it. Because I understand the moral line of not wanting to support AI games because you like humans and what humans make.
No.
But be sure. Be right. Don't just slander a character and then go off that. And then there's a couple other complaints, which is that, hey, this isn't the first time that the Palworld team has stolen before. What you're looking at is not a multiplayer Breath of the Wild. It is actually another game they made called Craftopia, which is being called out for being very similar to Breath of the Wild. It's being resurfaced now. And then they made this game, which people are saying it looks very similar to Hollow Knight and was massively inspired or stole from Hollow Knight. So I'm just
I did not even know about the Hollow Knight one.
The full context here of why we are in this situation in the first place. And it is pretty obvious to me that it all stems from the fact that this game is being marketed as Pokemon with guns. Everyone's talking about it as adult Pokemon, or the Pokemon game we've always wanted. And as a huge Pokemon fan who thinks Black and White 2 are the greatest Pokemon games ever made, it's been a tough, fucking decade for Pokemon, man. The games have been, I think, pretty mid.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say. You know who doesn't say that, ironically? This is the problem with Pokemon, right? There are people who really like Pokemon, and so they are way more critical of Pokemon. And when you are that, yeah, the new Pokemon games on mass are, don't have really appeal amongst the true big Pokemon supporters. But you need to understand the reality of the world is a little bit different, okay? The reality of the world is those Pokemon games are selling like goddamn hotcakes, baby. They're breaking records, they're selling better than ever, and more people are playing them more before. So, the hardcore audiences that don't like the Pokemon games, I understand it actually. I even can empathize with your opinions. But the reality is Nintendo doesn't care because those games are selling. Dude, if they had a limited amount of digital copies to give out, they would sell out in seconds. That's how good it's going. So, it is what it is.
Right? The Pokemon designs have sometimes been a little lackluster in recent years. The gameplay and the games from Game Freak look bad. It looks like a PS2 game, but it's all we get. So we just eat it. We eat the slop that they feed us because we like Pokemon, because it was part of our childhood. That's how I feel. And I wish they would make something that's more innovative. And Palworld did that. And so I feel like it is creating a divide between people who liked Pokemon and now like this new thing because they've grown up with Pokemon and they like that sort of gameplay and the art style or whatever. And then people who just wish that that Game Freak could do it right, and they don't want someone else to steal it and everyone to leave the Pokemon universe because they've put so much time and effort into this thing. But unless it's proven that they've stolen designs, stolen models, used AI to...
I really wonder if there's going to be a court case about this. Because, man, Nintendo... Make no mistake, Nintendo is this is probably currently the biggest thing Nintendo is looking in. You probably already saw the fact that the Pokemon mods were instantaneously stricken and copyrighted on, any video that anyone did of the Pokemon mod in Palworld got just absolutely instantaneously copyright struck by Nintendo and whatnot. It's pretty insane.
To generate their pals. Then I really think it is a nothing burger. It is as big of a problem, and maybe we could argue this is a huge problem we should talk about, but it's a different one, as Valorant taking inspiration from CSGO, right? A 5v5 tac shooter, a lot of similarities there. Or perhaps Genshin Impact, taking a lot of gameplay elements from Breath of the Wild. Or a game I played a fuck ton of.
Wasn't Genshin Impact before Breath of the Wild?
Only up. Taking direct inspiration from the Faudian forefathers of getting over it, and basically stealing assets outright. I mean, this game also could end up being like a...
Anyway, shut up. This was Quizzer Citizen. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.